Welcome back to the Digital Bath Podcast, where four close friends talk about all things nerdy while enjoying a few adult beverages. To my left, I have Dab, as I call him, Dakota Alduin Burton. How you doing?
Alduin?
That's his middle name, Alduin.
You didn't know that? I'm the main villain of Skyrim.
I thought his middle name was Ed.
Deb.
Edward.
Deb.
Well, yeah, now you say Dab.
You got a Deb on him.
Anyway.
Well, you're talking. So, what are you? Are you raccoon trash person? I don't.
The hyena.
Hyena. The hyena's here.
I have been rebranded the hyena because I eat garbage and I laugh a lot. You like it?
No.
No? Okay. Just you garbage person is fine.
To my right, the mini fridge.
It's me.
How you doing, man?
Not cold, and I should be because I'm the mini fridge, but I'm pretty hot, actually. Thanks, Bob. Back to you.
That's weird. Okay. And then I'm here.
I was like, who are you?
It's Jesse, Reaver.
It's your friend Jesse.
It's your friend Jesse here. How y'all doing today?
Doing fantastic, Jesse.
That's great. Well, tonight we're going to talk about game theories. So let's get this episode started right, and let's clink our drinks.
All right, boys.
Insert clink here.
Woo. There's no...
Ooh, get a good pour in there.
Beautiful.
I promise I'm not peeing.
Clink myself.
Oh, that's a lot of head. I'm very sorry, everyone.
It happens.
Sometimes you want a lot, sometimes you don't want any.
You got like a whole third
Figured
of a
out,
cup of
man.
beer out of that.
All right, we're going to start this off with news.
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 Who wants to go first?
Your cup's really
I'll go.
pissing me off right now.
All right. So, even with the recent pandemic delaying pretty much everything, Naughty Dog is still going strong on promoting their new game, Last of Us 2. Pretty sure we're all excited about that one.
No.
Now, this game was also delayed, but not by much, luckily. The new release date is slated for the 19th of this month, which is almost 3 months removed from its original release date of February 21st. They have even released a new TV spot that showcases a more somber mood of the game. Should be premiering here soon. Last week, there was news of a challenged fight between Conor McGregor and Anderson Silva. However, as of yesterday, it's been reported that the Notorious One has retired once again from fighting. Right after the Amanda Nunes win at UFC 250, Conor McGregor tweeted, "Hey guys, I've decided to retire from fighting. Thank you all for the amazing memories. What a ride it's been. Here is a picture of myself and my mother in Las Vegas post one of my world title wins. Pick the home of your dreams. Mags, I love you. Whatever you desire, it's yours." Take this how you want, but it should be noted that Conor McGregor has quote-unquote retired 2 other times, and we keep seeing him come back. So we'll see what actually happens. Sony also has decided to delay its PS5 gameplay event indefinitely. On June 1st, PlayStation tweeted, "We have decided to postpone the PlayStation 5 event scheduled for June 4th. While we understand gamers worldwide are excited to see PS5 games, we do not feel that right now is a time for celebration, and for now, we want to stand back and allow more important voices be heard." This, of course, is in reference to the Black Lives Matter movement. I can't talk tonight. Black Lives Matter movement that is happening all over the nation right now. They say it should be coming back up soon, but they want everything to kind of, everybody have their voices heard, and then they'll come back. And then lastly, for you space nerds out there, NASA has planned a summer launch for the Mars Perseverance rover. The planned launch is scheduled to take place between July 17th and August 11th this year. Its mission, stated by NASA, will be to seek signs of ancient life and collect rock and soil samples for possible return to Earth, which would be one of the first times that they've ever done that from another planet besides, of course, the moon, which isn't a planet. But it would be an amazing thing to be able to bring that back and be able to, actually research it here on Earth.
I'm so excited that NASA and SpaceX are doing stuff again. Mm-hmm. It's been a hot minute, and all that stuff's in full swing. So,
yeah, I'm a space nerd. I love that type of stuff, so I'm just excited about all that.
I still think we need to explore the oceans completely.
No, that's scary down there.
I know, right?
Self-landing rockets.
Yeah, that's cool. But did you see Underwater?
I don't want to.
Did I see Underwater? I've seen Underwater.
I want to see
the
that
movie.
I hear it's I hear there's something I'd love
Y'all
about
haven't
that
seen
movie.
Underwater?
No.
I've seen Lady in the Water.
You guys are nerds and the
We're
wrong
not going
kind.
to talk about Lady in the Water. Jesse, what
You
you got
know.
for news, buddy?
DC Comics unexpectedly cut ties with Diamond Comic Distributors, in which they have been partnered with for over 25 years.
Wow.
DC's new partners, Lunar and USC Comic Distributors, will keep their releases on Tuesdays and strive to provide the same level of distribution with local retailers. The decision has been split across the comic community as far as a good or bad decision.
Why did they do it?
Well, a lot of it has to do with, I think, COVID. Diamond Distributors was closed for quite some time, and it seems that DC Comics was already looking to find a new distributor. Diamond is basically got the monopoly on distributing in North America as we speak. But there are some people that say the timing was very off right now with Diamond just being reopened and possibly laying off jobs now that they're cutting out DC Comics completely.
Wow.
So, should be interesting. On to movie news. Ari Aster, director of horror films Midsommar and Hereditary, has announced he's working on a new movie that would be his longest film to date with a runtime of 4 hours.
Oh, my God.
Aster has also confirmed the movie will be for audiences older than the age of 17, meaning a rated R movie, and describes it as a nightmare comedy. So
about half as long as Irishman.
just about, yeah.
Huh. Haven't the other two been rated R?
Yes, the other two movies have been rated R at a runtime of just over 2 hours.
There could also be an NC-17 rating in there. If he's saying,
Actually, I
like,
was thinking
Yeah.
that too. If he's specifically calling out that.
Hereditary is a very special horror movie. I haven't seen Midsommar yet, but I'm excited for more stuff from that guy.
I have seen both. I will say Hereditary, in my opinion, is the stronger movie out of the two. But I'm glad that he might be taking a little different approach to his movies. He's definitely got a weird sense of comedy already, so I'm excited to see what a nightmare comedy might mean.
Dark comedy, basically.
when I think like horror comedy, I immediately go to
Evil Dead?
no, I was gonna say nudity and dicks and stuff. I don't know why.
Well-
Wait, after he said 17 and then he was talking about a horror comedy, my brain was like, "There's got to be
Did you
lots of
see
nudity." or
Mandy?
something. Yes.
I would count that as a nightmare comedy. I mean, it's
Comedy?
definitely... Oh,
More
yes.
on the nightmare than the comedy.
It's almost comical in some ways
I think
with its
the-
violence, and
the-
Nicolas Cage
Nicolas
obviously
Cage is comical
transcends that.
in like
yeah.
a bad way.
like in a Ghost Rider way.
I haven't seen any of those movies. So
You've never seen Mandy?
I haven't
It's good.
seen Midsommar. I haven't seen Hereditary. I haven't seen Mandy. I need to watch these.
Have you seen The Scorpion King?
Unfortunately, yes,
Which
I have Dakota.
of the 4?
I want
5?
everybody to know that I bought your boy Dakota here a DVD compilation of Scorpion King 1 and 2 for his birthday because he just loves that series so much.
The Rock's in it.
Anyway, moving on to Dakota news.
I
What you
stand
got?
alone. I got a couple things for you
bring that-
guys. So Sony is getting a slap on the wrist. Australian federal court has ordered Sony Europe to pay $3.5 million in penalties for making false claims and misleading representations on its website and interactions Sony Europe had with Australian consumers about their Australian consumer law rights. Basically, Sony Europe had misled 4 consumers into believing they had purchased faulty games. Sony customer service told the poor guys that they were not required to refund a game once it's been downloaded or if it's been more than 14 days after purchase. Well, it turns out both of those things are 100% not true. They also continued their line when they told one of the 4 that they didn't have to provide a refund unless the game developers authorized it.
Wow.
Also false. So, Rod Sims of the ACCC, or the Australian Competition and Consumer Act, said, in quote, "Consumers who buy digital products online have exactly the same rights as they would if they made the purchase at a physical store." So, I don't know if that's going to be a stance taken around the world, but I think up to this point that's a pretty definitive thing to say for digital purchases going forward with where we see media.
Yeah.
But Australia's a little bit different anyway. I
They
mean,
do what they want.
That's what I'm saying, though. They're like, we'll ban this game because reasons, and we won't rate it, and now you can't own it because it doesn't have a rating.
Well, and these claims happened from, I believe, October 2017 to May of 2019 before they were caught. So this is something they did for several years, and only 4 of those,
Wow.
were actually fined on. So who knows how
Damn.
many other people they were trying to pull
Right.
that with. So
And how many people just believed it and were like, well, that's the way the ball bounces.
Yep.
right.
Well,
so.
with DRM, or
That's the way the shit goes
yeah,
on the Bobby.
with DRM or digital rights management, if you guys don't know what that is,
I
they
do now.
they can sneak a whole bunch of shit in there. Like Windows 10 when that first came out, that was a whole debacle because of its DRM, and they would say, hey, we're allowed to like do A through M here just for downloading this immediately. So there's ways to go about it and download.
Here's a free U2 album.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Exactly.
You just own that
You
now.
can like get on your phone and go to YouTube and search how to like download those things like customly, so you don't have to like actually say yes to those types of things. So be aware of that.
Yeah, I think it's, hopefully that'll kind of set the standard going forward.
I hope so.
But I've definitely bought things before that disappeared. So, on top of that, EA games are now on Steam. So time to delete EA Origin, everyone.
Yes.
off the old PC.
Goodbye.
EA has released over 25 titles onto Steam, calling it the first wave. This comes with another announcement that EA's All Access subscription is also headed to Steam later this summer. So many franchises like Mass Effect, Crysis, Need for Speed, and Dragon Age are available now, with sales as high as 75% off on those titles. So are they leaving Origin behind? Who knows? But I'm just excited that they're on Steam. So
Yeah, I agree.
Along with all the 5,000 other games you don't play. Not you. It just people in
He
my
looked me in my eyes and said
He
that.
did. He looked into your soul.
Summer sale, I get it.
And lastly, the CW show Batwoman will not be recasting the role of Kate Kane. The role formerly played by now exiting Ruby Rose will be replaced by a new leading lady named Ryan Wilder. The CW has said the role will be another member of the LGBTQ community. There are some other details. They're definitely trying to make this new character different, obviously, than Kate Kane. See who they pull out of the Bat Cave and put in that role. They have also said that they will try to make as cohesive a story transition as possible. The season was cut short, along with most other shows at the time, due to the COVID-19 crisis. So there'll be a lot of rewrites going on. We'll just have to wait and see where they go from there.
Perfect.
What you got for us, Chris?
Well, as we were talking about earlier, there's been some delays and things have changed because of the situation going on in the U.S. right now. And I think it's interesting that a lot of companies that had never really admitted or said anything before are coming forward, and including, of course, our favorite game of all time, everybody's favorite game, Call of Duty. So right now, every time you load up Call of Duty, it displays a Black Lives Matter in big white print, and it also has a message from them. I'll read that in a second. The really neat thing is it displays that when you load up the game every time, and it also displays that in between every single round of a multiplayer game. So every 10 to 12 minutes you see that message, which is pretty cool. They have also taken a much firmer stance on if your clan tag or gamer tag has something offensive in it, because with Activision you can have your own tag within their game. So they were pretty lax on that for a while.
Forever.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of
Yeah,
Xbox.
it's gotten pretty dicey.
Yeah. So
That's Battlefield.
yeah. Along with that, the makers of Grand Theft Auto 5 have also they did a 2-hour stop of online play, which I mean, that's cool.
It's a lot of shark cards for them.
Right. I would have assumed they would have done like everybody has to wait 8 minutes and change to play a game, but they just did a 2-hour time thing, which is still. And then Apex Legend has also posted a message as well. And so the first one from Call of Duty says in big white print, Black Lives Matter. Our community is hurting. The systematic inequalities our community experiences are once again center stage. Call of Duty and Infinity Ward stand for equality and inclusion. We stand against the racism and injustice our black community endures. Until change happens and Black Lives Matter, we will never truly be a community we strive to be. So I thought that was pretty cool. And Apex Legends has a similar message, but Call of Duty has also not gone ahead and released Season 4. They have suspended that as well. Sony also, like you said, has suspended their event.
It's just kind of amazing to me in a good way of how many people are really making their voices heard. Not just individuals, but companies. Big major companies. Nickelodeon. Did you guys see that? Nickelodeon
And Nick Jr.
And Nick Jr. Had a Black Lives Matter thing pop up on their screens, and it's fantastic seeing that type of stuff happen, because you're that change that has been needed for so long that hasn't been happening, and the right people haven't been hearing it, or the right people haven't done anything about it. I think we're starting to finally gear towards that, at least the start of it, and I hope it just gets better and better as we go.
Right. And I don't know, we can cut this if we want to, but I feel like explaining Black Lives Matter real quick, because we keep explaining it to people, and people keep saying, well, all lives matter. And if all lives matter...
That's not the point.
If all lives matter, then Black Lives Matter. Yes, but all lives matter. Good. Then Black Lives Matter.
I saw something the other day that I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense to be able to send somebody if they're not understanding it. Because I'm not going to sit here and say that every single person that says all lives matter is ignorant. I'm not going to say every single one of them are.
Some of them are belligerent.
Some of them are belligerent. Some of them are ignorant. But then some of them, because they were raised a certain way or within a certain confines of a household, whatever it might be, might not understand it.
Right.
And it said, if your wife came into the room and said, I love you, you're not going to say, well, I love everyone.
Right. Because it's insensitive and would be rude in this scenario.
Well, and not just necessarily that, but it's, you obviously love your wife, so you say, yes, I love you too. Even though, yes, you do love everyone, I love you too.
I don't.
We're talking about, yes, we know, Chris. We're talking about, like, your wife, you're talking about your wife at that instant, or your husband, whatever the situation
they
is.
need love in that instance.
Exactly. In this instance, Black lives need the love.
There's some love needed.
Yes,
Right,
there's some love needed. So, think of it that simply. I've seen people posting we never said only Black Lives Matter. We just said Black Lives Matter right now, and they all believe that. They really do. They all believe that. So just it's.
I think it's an amazing time to be alive, because there's a lot of people that, and on my Facebook, I won't unfriend anybody. I will continually and honestly, every time someone posts something that I disagree with or that I take issue with, I will say something. Because if I don't, then I don't feel like I'm... what's the point of not unfriending people if I'm not speaking out against this?
We just had a friend, I say we, but Joel and I just had a quote-unquote friend of ours who... and this wasn't even about... Like, he is very all Black Lives Matter, which is great, but he was also very, like all cops are bastards type person, which some people might agree with that. I personally don't. I know a lot of police officers, and they're great people, and they marched with the BLM movement and everything, and but we talked to him, and we were not confrontational or anything, and he couldn't take it and just immediately unfriended us and blocked us completely.
But it takes a lot to see these posts from people that I loved and respected and be like, what? What? The one that gets me really upset is the looters are equal to a man putting his knee on another man's neck and murdering him. Stealing is not killing.
Nope.
There's a gentleman running out of a convenience store with a bag full of stuff. We don't know what he has. Could have a pack of smokes, could have some food, could have some money. But he didn't kneel on another man's neck and murder him.
Right.
And
I think, though, on the flip side, it's a beautiful time to see so many different people from different backgrounds coming together.
Yes.
To, it's everyone versus racism.
Yes.
And it's a great time to see so many different platforms and people who are in a place to speak to large groups of people coming together, and it finally, I think, making sense for a lot of people that we can all agree on the same thing, that it's time Black Lives Matter. So
I think what really hit me the most is throughout the last few years, I got more into hip hop than I had before, and I was relating to different rappers individually, and in my mind I was thinking, man, this is still happening on an individual level. And when all this started happening, it really hit me that it's not just isolated incidents. I mean, this is everywhere. This is all the time for every Black person, and so that it's tough to watch, and it just made me really feel for them, because I felt for those individuals that I was listening to, and now I hear it on a mass scale, and so it is a very interesting, beautiful, whatever you want to call it. It's a time to be alive, and I just want all those people to be heard.
Yeah.
To your point, I mean, we listen to hundreds of hours of hip hop together, and it's something that's really changed me in my more adult life. And a song that I've listened to dozens upon dozens of times, Cream by Wu-Tang, Cash Rules Everything Around Me.
Yes.
And I listened to it today, and it felt in a different context, something that came out in the 90s, over 20, almost 30 years ago, and they're saying the same things then that I'm now hearing differently now. So that song has changed. So
I felt the same way about New York State of Mind from Nas that came on today, and I was like, oh my God, there's
a lot of
still
stuff
relevant.
Differently,
still
right?
relevant, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say, from my standpoint, everybody knows I'm a metalhead. I listen to rap, I listen to industrial, I listen to all kinds of stuff, but metal is my forte. And if you're a metalhead, I don't think there's any room for racism in metal, because there are some of the most amazing vocalists, guitarists, bassists, drummers, just any
sound
keyboardist,
engineers, writers.
Yep.
All of those people are from all different races, and especially right now, there's I can't think of his name.
Animals as Leaders.
Animals as Leaders is a fucking incredible. If Black Lives weren't around, if he wouldn't exist. If that wasn't
Fire from the Gods.
Kill Switch Engage.
Kill Switch Engage. Howard Jones.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I think the original vocalist is better.
Seven Dust.
Seven Dust. Seven Dust has
man.
been crazy
Forever.
Forever.
Going on 30
Damn
years.
consistent.
They have the Midas touch on music, dude. I mean, they touch it. It sounds pretty damn good. So
So I think from all members here at Digital Bath Podcast, we say Black Lives Matter, and
if you don't agree, don't listen. We don't care.
we don't give a shit. But
Bye.
yeah, we're here. We support you.
yeah.
Bye.
What we got for the listeners today, guys?
Talked about it earlier. We're going to talk about video. Sorry, I'm trying not to sound like the YouTube channel. Game theories.
As he perfectly imitates game theory.
And he did that earlier too.
I did.
I know, I
did.
I'm trying not to, but I'll do it.
I love that guy.
Yeah,
anyway,
he is great.
Hey guys, it's your boy Jesse Pateo here to talk about
game theories. This was a tough one at first to think about, just coming up with our own theories. So I did a little bit of piggybacking, to be honest, but I did kind of come up with my own theory, at least from my point of view, one I haven't heard from someone else, in regards to Silent Hill 2 specifically.
Oh, specifically.
Jesse and I are going to be talking about Silent Hill a lot in this podcast, just letting you know. So
I think so. Yeah, we talked about the way we want to do this format. I think me and Chris, for the most part, will be going into this kind of blind, as people that they can talk about their theories too. We thought it'd be a great way to kind of, for the listener even, to be in on it as they're describing it to us. So we're going to be listening with you guys.
I will say massive spoilers, obviously, for some of the things we're going to be talking about.
I definitely played Silent Hill 2, but I'm interested to see what they've got coming in.
Yeah.
with Silent Hills, is it just Silent Hill 2 you've played?
No, I played
or-
1, 2, 3.
Okay, cool. Okay.
I played The Room, which
Okay.
is 4.
Yeah. Homecoming?
Homecoming,
Mhm.
which why the fuck was? Never mind.
Origins?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
did not play Origins.
There is a actually defined theory that the developers haven't necessarily negated about why quote unquote Pyramid Head, and he's called the Boogeyman in the game, exists.
I have
in
a
that-
theory.
in
Let's
that-
not-
I have a theory.
I always thought it was the
we don't wanna-
Bogeyman. Like when I read the
It
guide.
is though. It is though. It's a Boogeyman. It's
spelled
spelled
Boogeyman.
really weird.
So is he the Boogeyman or the Boogeyman?
He's the boogeyman.
So we've
So
got
it's needs some umlauts in there. Some.
we've got someone that's played it that doesn't know the theory they're going to talk about yet, and then me who doesn't play no spooky games. So he's going to be a first time
you will.
listener, first time
We
poster.
Should
I've
we
played 30 minutes of Resident Evil 3.
Oh, good job.
should the remake may I add? That wasn't
Jesse
like
was like,
12 years
"How
ago.
dare you?"
Fucking poser.
So should we explain at all the story, at least, of Silent Hill or Silent Hill 2?
Give him a Wikipedia.
Synopsis.
Just a small
So
synopsis.
for the people that don't know or haven't seen the movie, Silent Hill is a town in which it is surrounded by fog and mystery, and throughout each game, you as the protagonist have gone to Silent Hill for one reason or another, and your basically worst fears come to life, and weird monsters, strange happenings ensue, and there's an overarching story that kind of wraps a few games together as far as why this town is fucked up, why you can't escape once you enter Silent Hill, and that's kind of it in a nutshell. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's basically, you could think of it as purgatory. It is a place between life and death that it tends to feed off of your worst fears and your craziest desires, and they manifest into creatures that come after you and haunt you. Basically, it's of course a survival horror game. It is one of the most popular survival horror games ever made. If you are into survival horror games and you like being creeped out, I highly recommend playing those games. 2 is a great one to start out with.
Yes.
1's great, but a little rough. It's an old game, but 2 is fantastic and still holds up today. Like that
2
game
and
still
3,
yeah,
I think hold up
They-
2
really
and
well.
3 are fucking.
they still look great.
Yeah.
Even if you're just playing on the PS2 with like your AV cables.
If you
it's-
have a TV that
Who
can
has
do that.
AV cables?
well, you could
I
buy
have the cables. I don't have.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't throw away my cables.
you could buy the HD edition on 360
Amanda
and
just
PS3.
did.
Yes.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So-
Is it true that the Silent Hill, like how the fog works, is based off of that New England town where like there's eternal smoke or fog
Pennsylvania,
about?
Centralia, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Yeah.
Technically, Silent Hill is based off of fog because the PlayStation 1 couldn't load enough.
Yes.
into the-
Well, the idea was always to have fog in the game,
Right.
and then they said, well, let's maximize this because we can put so much more detail in what's right in front of you
Yeah.
without having to code for your whole
Load
site.
more
It's
textures.
it's pretty scary too. I
It,
mean,
it does create a lot of atmosphere to the game because you're not seeing enemies until they're roughly 6 to 12 feet in front of you. So versus me, oh, there's that monster way across the street. Let me go shoot it. Like,
Dying Light.
There's that
Yeah.
monster way over there. Fuck that shit.
So Centralia, Pennsylvania is a real place that it had coal fires basically start underground, and they have been burning for hundreds of years. But they really started to make their way up within the last, I think, like 40 years. And everybody had to evacuate because they were starting to literally crumble the ground underneath them. Nobody lives in this town anymore, and there is smoke and like complete sections of road missing that have collapsed. So if you ever play the game, that's actually happening somewhere, and that's where they got the idea for the town.
almost like our version of Chernobyl and a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Just a
I
deserted
thought there
town.
were still like 12 people hanging out in that town.
There might be, but they have
They said don't live there.
they basically have said you can live there, but you won't get power from us. You won't get any sort of
No
cable from
plumbing.
us. No plumbing. Like that's all shut off in that area.
Sure, you're not talking about Flint, Michigan.
Oh shit!
That's a whole nother. Ooh, okay.
That's another podcast.
Okay. Well, for those that haven't played the game, so Dakota, there are multiple endings.
I saw the movies though, which I know are just as good.
Okay,
Especially
well,
the
this
second
was
one.
great, guys. No. In the games, there are multiple endings to each game. There's only 2 canonical endings that you can really actually say have to happen, right? Which would be from the first game.
Yes. Yeah, it would be the first game.
So much like the movie, the first game revolves around a girl that goes into Silent Hill, and you have to find your daughter. In this case, you play Harry Mason instead of what's her name in the movie?
Rose.
Rose. And so in that version, the canonical ending of that game is that you leave the town with a baby, which then becomes the main character of the third game. And that has to happen, otherwise there isn't a third game.
So you lose your daughter.
You essentially, yes, you lose your daughter
But
and
you
get a new
gain
one.
Some other baby.
You gain a new daughter.
She's reincarnated
It's your daughter reincarnated.
Yes,
from the boss of the last game.
yes. That is the only canonical ending of the game.
Makes sense.
This is a Konami game.
This
right?
is a
So-
yeah, Metal Gear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, after that, every other game has had endings where you die, endings where you survive, endings with dogs and aliens and all kinds of weird shit.
I remember the
100%.
dog alien.
The dog ending's amazing.
Who the first time they played Silent Hill 2 committed suicide at the end? The first ending
The
they
first
got.
time I played
The
it,
first
that
time.
was the first ending.
Where
I got
you
as
just
well.
see the bubbles in the speech?
Yes.
100%.
Well, here's that's great actually because
Sorry.
my
The drowning ending, you mean?
Yes.
my theory is that the only other canonical ending in the Silent Hill series is from Silent Hill 2, and it is the underwater ending.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the dog.
No, that would be amazing though.
So it's funny that you're talking about a possible canonical ending from Silent Hill 2 because I also have something about that.
Here we go. Let's see where we overlap. So the biggest thing about Silent Hill 2 is your character, James Sunderland, is going to Silent Hill to hopefully find what you thought was deceased wife. You get a letter from her 3 years after her death, to tell you to come to their special place, which in this case is Silent Hill. Throughout the game, you fight monsters that embody his biggest guilts and his pleasures. Case in point, the nurses in Silent Hill 2 are much more sexualized than they are in the first game.
Correct.
You fight mannequins that all happen to be female mannequins. They're usually the bottom half of females, basically spliced together.
Two bottoms put
Two
together.
bottoms
Two
put
bottoms put
together.
together.
What
and they're
about the
very-
slimy
they're-
trash bag enemy? What the fuck's going on with that one?
Well,
Is that a condom?
there's a theory that that character is supposed to be a representation of Mary and her basically uselessness once she gets sick.
Yep.
They're bound. She's bound. Well, the enemy is bound. It has no features. It's very pale looking.
Mary and I get along. She's a trash person as well.
She is a trash person. I mean, those enemies don't really do much in the way of attacking you.
They just scare the fuck out of you the first
Yeah,
time you see one.
they're very easy to kill. I mean, a lot of those enemies are just fodder.
Yeah.
Fair.
And then, of course, the biggest enemy from that game, Pyramid Head, which has almost become the mascot for Silent Hill at this point, is an executioner, a basically representation of James's greatest guilts, as well as his sexual frustration. The first time you see Pyramid Head, he's literally raping these mannequin creatures and then slaughtering them afterwards.
He's just dry humping them.
Yeah, well, he's raping
They can't
them.
show that
They
in a
can't-
PS2 game.
He's got the apron down.
He's
Apron
raping
ain't
them,
up.
and then the second time you see him, also in the apartment complex, looks like he's basically performing oral on one of the mannequins.
Nice.
So it's
Pyramid
definitely
Head giveth, and he taketh, giveth, and he giveth. I don't know.
He just giveth.
He's giving it to him.
give some,
give it to you.
give some, get some.
The biggest part that about that game is obviously the guilt. Your wife is sick before the happenings of this game, and once you reach the ending, you find out that James, whether it's from mercy or from his own selfishness, murders his sick wife in order to get out of the chain, basically, of taking care of her.
Yep.
Fuck.
He
Does
suffocates her.
with a pillow kind of
He
thing?
suffocates her with a pillow.
That's what I thought. I couldn't remember.
In the good endings of the game, it's kind of said that he does it out of mercy.
Yes.
And at that point, you...
Like she wanted him to,
Yes.
Right.
just please end my suffering, and it fucked him up.
What was wrong with her? Do we know?
cancer? I think
It wasn't really clear, just
it
that
wasn't
she got
re-
sick.
Yeah, she was
Super
coughing
sick.
up
Terminal
blood and
illness.
stuff, so people assumed it was cancer of some
Gotcha.
sort. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And in those good endings, there is a little girl that you meet that also travels to Silent Hill, and you escape with her and leave the town.
Laura.
Is it the girl from the first game?
No. It is an entirely new little girl that you find out knew Mary when they were both in the hospital together, and Mary promised that if she ever got better, that she would take care of this little girl. And so this little girl also randomly receives a letter from the supposedly dead Mary and decides to... This is the character that doesn't make sense to me, and maybe you can shed some more light on it, but somehow this little girl gets away from wherever she's at and gets to Silent Hill at the same time that the main character does.
How do you get to Silent Hill?
Well, see, that's the thing. It's the speculation about Laura is that she is dead.
Yes, and that's going to play into my
because
theory.
they both met in the hospital and they were both sick. So the speculation is that Laura is dead, and the only reason she knows about Mary, because she did get a letter from Mary, but you find out later in the game that the letter was given to her at the hospital by Mary. But she said, when you get out, and we may get out of this, we'll go to Silent Hill together.
How did he get to Silent Hill?
The beginning of the game, you see him out of his car, basically on the top of a hill that leads right down into Silent Hill. So you were
He
essentially
drove there.
I guess.
you were essentially already in the town at the time the game
He
starts.
punched it into his phone on GPS. And
That
it
wasn't
took
a
him
thing.
there.
And Silent Hill used to be a tourist attraction before the events of the first game.
Oh,
So it wasn't-
He map quested. There you go.
Well, this was the 80s in universe.
Yeah, in
Ah,
universe it was the
shit,
80s.
man.
Yeah,
So he got his
had
he got his
So-
atlas.
Yeah, well, you actually, if you look in the car, that's how you get your map of Silent Hill. So yes, he had the atlas like he bought from the gas station.
Yes.
Like,
and what's interesting that talking about how Laura is possibly dead, that also plays into a secondary theory I
Right.
have about Silent Hill.
Yep.
But going on with that, the reason I think that
Yes.
the underwater, or what is actually known as the bad ending of the game, which normally the bad endings of video games are the non-canon versions.
Right.
It's usually the ones where you indulge in like, oh, I'm going to kill this guy because he was the bastard of the game. Well, in this case, I truly think the bad ending is the real ending, and in which the bad ending you find out that James never essentially made it to Silent Hill, and he drove off of the road into
while he was reading the note from Mary.
Into a ravine.
a ravine or a lake of some
I think it
kind.
was
Toluca Lake.
Toluca Lake.
Toluca
How
Lake
do
is
you
what I
get
was-
to that ending of the game?
Essentially, it's by
suck?
hurting. So throughout the game, you have a manifestation of your wife that follows you. but she's
Terrifying.
like a sexy version of your wife,
Maria.
Maria.
Still terrifying.
What's your wife's name?
Mary.
Oh, wow.
And her name's Maria. Yes.
And she looks just like Mary.
Yes, she does. Throughout the game, she can get injured. You can actually hurt her yourself. And the more she gets injured and the more bad things that happen to her, the more likely you are to get the bad ending of the game, as well as more enemies that you kill. If you decide to go out of your way to kill almost every enemy in the game, you're almost guaranteed to get the bad ending.
Yep.
You know what ending I got, because I was like, you're not Mary! Go away!
I mean,
Go away.
one of the other things is near the end of the game when you're in the Grand Hotel, you go down this long hallway corridor, and Mary starts to not talk to James, but you hear Mary, like a monologue of Mary talking to James. And if you just run as fast as you can and don't listen to pretty much any of it, and you get out, that's one of the other things that gets you the bad ending.
Yep.
So basically, if you disrespect her memory or things represented by her,
Yep.
that's really smart.
Yep.
It's a very psychological game, and they only got more involved with that with each, basically, a sequel.
Yep.
So let's say you subscribe really quick to my theory of this being the canonical ending. He dies on his way to Silent Hill. His soul then is going through hell, essentially. And that's his soul going through, seeing all these other souls that have also been trapped or stuck in Silent Hill. And that's why his guilt is being manifested so strongly throughout that whole town. There's only one real reason, I think, for James to go to Silent Hill, and that's to kill himself. Because every other protagonist in the game has had a reason to go there, whereas James just decides to go because he got a letter from his wife. I think the only reason he would have gone is because he felt guilty because he killed her out of selfishness or anger. If he had killed her out of, because she wanted, out of mercy, he would not have felt that guilt, or at least not to the same level.
Right.
A lot of the characters that he meets in Silent Hill also have very suicidal tendencies. Angela is a character you meet pretty early on in the game, and really quickly you find out that she's definitely has some issues, some mental issues, and throughout the game she has been abused by her father, and in the novelization she has a quote that says, let me see here.
So there's other people in Silent Hill.
There are.
Yes.
There are.
Now, saying that real quick, while he's finding the quote, you get it's always kind of thought that Silent Hill, especially in like the Otherworld version of Silent Hill, is viewed differently. Everyone sees Silent Hill in a different light. So Angela, at some point in the game, you're talking to Angela as James, and she's on the stairwell, and everything's on fire, right? Everything's on fire. But it's not hurting anybody. It's not affecting them. And when James is talking to her, she's like, "What? You don't see it?" And he even says, "Damn, it's hot in here." Like, he does not see this fire that's happening all around her.
Almost like he is in his own hell.
Yeah. Well, no, almost like he's in Angela's hell now.
True.
Like, he stepped into her hell, and you're seeing what Silent Hill is in Angela's eyes, but he can't see that. He's only seeing his own realm. So that kind of plays a part in it as well. Yeah.
This is from the novelization of Silent Hill 2. Angela says, I want to die. That is my one and only wish. But it's a wish that's proven difficult to obtain. I want to die, and yet I'm forced to keep living. I don't want to see anyone. Men, women, anyone. So she clearly has dark thoughts and issues going into Silent Hill. And in my opinion, I think that she is also dead at the time that she gets to Silent Hill as well.
Well, you remember her big issue, right?
Yes, her father molested her.
Yeah.
Many years previous.
You fight a boss in the game, which is basically it looks like a walking bed with a cover over it, and it looks like people are inside of it, like grinding around, and she keeps calling it dad or father, daddy, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty these games are dark. They have very, very morbid underlying, instances of murder, death, molestation, rape, all of it.
And I will say the reason I think James went there to commit suicide, he's probably the worst protagonist of the whole series. Harry only goes there because his daughter says we need to go back. Heather only goes there because the Order basically calls her back. The main character from Silent Hill 4...
Heather's from 3, by the way.
Sorry, yes. Henry from Silent Hill 4 is trapped in his apartment, and the only way to get out is to go through a hole in the wall that leads to Silent Hill.
Who trapped him in his room, though?
Oh, that's a whole nother game.
Whoa. That's another theory.
Alex from Homecoming, he's
forced to go there.
He's forced to go also because of the Order.
James is the only one that chooses to go to Silent Hill of his own free will when he could have easily walked away from the whole situation. And that's
guilt was crushing him,
that,
man.
Exactly. There's no other reason.
So how could he have done it by mercy then?
Exactly.
I mean, I okay, let me take that back. There are people who do mercy killings in life in general because of some situation and still have a crazy amount of guilt after that happens.
For sure.
Especially it's the loved one. So I could see how you could still feel guilty after a mercy, but the amount of guilt that he feels and the shit that he sees and goes through doesn't make a lot of sense.
So then your theory because I mean this happens at the end of the game. You see him underwater.
Yes.
You don't even see him. You just see bubbles, and he kind of monologues.
And you hear a car veering off the road.
You hear a car veering off the road. He doesn't monologue. It's Mary's letter.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's been a long time.
It's all right.
So you're saying that is the canonical ending, and that everything leading up to that moment is in his head playing out as he gets there, or it's after?
It could either be one of two things.
Because you said it's purgatory, right?
Yes. I think that his soul at that point then goes into Silent Hill and lives through the events of the game. There is another theory out there that everything that happens is his last, basically, moments before he, in turn, dies.
Is there an ending where he makes it out?
Yes, the good ending is that he and the girl that he finds there, Laura, they just end up leaving Silent Hill.
They actually escape, fully escape Silent Hill.
Would that mean that he, brought her back to life then?
Yeah, well, if she was never truly dead,
right.
is the
in the
question.
good ending, she's not truly dead, but in the bad ending, she could be.
We don't know, honestly, what happens to Laura.
It leads more to, that's a...
Yes.
Well, and here's why I subscribe to that theory going forward.
Okay.
The biggest thing about Pyramid Head is that he is always seen trying to kill Maria, which again is the reimagining of his wife, and again that is the personification of James's guilt. So every time Pyramid Head is shown, he's either hurting women or trying to kill one. And again, if Silent Hill is supposed to be the manifestation of your biggest desires and your wants, that only tells me that James is truly an awful person, that he does not have anything good for his name.
Does that mean that Pyramid Head is Silent Hill James?
Let's keep going.
Oh my God!
Let's keep going.
I'm glad you caught on to that.
My tinfoil hat is forming.
Yep. I think it shows that Pyramid Head is the good guy. Like in Silent Hill, the movie,
if you've
the
seen
sequel.
one of the best horror movies of all time.
Fuck you.
He's a good guy.
Fuck you and all the horses you rode in on.
He saves the day.
So, do you remember in the first one though, when he declothes that person?
Yeah, and you think he's a bad guy,
and
but
then
then in the sequel,
skins her.
he
Stop.
saves
That's what I
the
meant,
day.
yeah.
Please don't see Revelations.
It's so
awful.
good. He find a doll thingy.
Get the
If
fuck
they
out.
had just called it Spooky Time Mountain, then you would have liked that movie. But the fact that it's called
Loud
Silent
Valley.
Hill,
Loud Valley.
Ooh, yeah,
Quiet
the
Mountain.
opposite.
Quiet Mountain.
Quiet Mountain.
A Quiet Knoll.
I think they made that movie.
No, that was
That
real
was
life.
JFK.
There was at least. Never mind.
Oh, I was talking about A Quiet Place, but you guys went a different place.
Another
Hey, we're
conspiracy.
talking about conspiracy theories and theories right now.
Yeah,
So
continue before we get put on more watch lists.
That sounds great. So the biggest thing I talked about earlier is that the nurses from the first game were not overly sexualized, and then in Silent Hill 2,
They're
they get
hot as fuck.
they get their
like
infamous.
that type of
I mean, the
shit.
cosplays are sometimes.
That's true. They get their infamous cleavage, their short mini skirts, and of course their sheathed
Wrapped
faces.
faces.
How I
Yep.
prefer my women. I don't understand what the.
Well,
In the medical field.
that is actually a representation of the suffocation of Mary.
Very well. Yep.
I thought it was because he felt bad
But here's
for
the
looking
weird
at
thing.
him. So he's like, no.
Here's the weird thing,
Still
and everyone
boobs out.
knows what those nurses look like, right? That is the same nurse in 3, in Homecoming. Every game after 2 uses those same nurses, and I think that's because James's soul never truly left Silent Hill, and his impression on that world stayed with it, and that's why even Alex Shepard from Silent Hill Homecoming never describes him as a sexually repressed person in any way, but all the nurses in that game look exactly like they did in Silent Hill 2. And guess who shows up in Silent Hill Homecoming? The
James.
Bogeyman.
Speaking of the bogeyman, which is it's pronounced boogeyman but spelled bogeyman for whatever reason in
Is that
Silent Hill 5.
Okay, so it's
Is that just a
Silent Hill that does it.
localization error?
So that's Pyramid Head. For whatever reason, Pyramid Head is in Silent Hill 5. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. So there's been a lot of theories revolving around that. One main theory that I kind of thought myself, but ended up being like a really, really big theory out there is kind of what Jesse was alluding to a little bit earlier, that James's soul never really left Silent Hill, and it's so dark. Like the manifestation of Pyramid Head and all of the things that happen is just so atrocious and evil that it imprinted itself into Silent Hill and manifests itself slightly differently in each iteration of the game. The nurses, and then Pyramid Head showing up, of course, in 5. Now he looks different. He's taller. He's got more refined ridges on his helmet. It's sharp. It's a sharp point, kind of like in the movie. If you ever saw the movie, it's not a flat point or anything like that.
Or it looks like a duckbill almost in 2.
Yeah.
We moved up a generation. I just
We did.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
we did. Yeah.
Sure. And he's
Not as fuzzy.
Weird.
His apron instead of
hands.
being like a butcher's apron where it goes over his shoulders is only around his waist, and he's very
He's jacked.
He's buff as shit.
He's buff as shit.
He's been fucking mannequins, bro.
Yeah. So,
American Psycho stuff.
but in 5,
We both did the arm.
Opposite arm. Night. Or same arm, technically. Anyway.
Sorry.
It is the same
it
arm.
is the same arm. Okay.
Okay. Real quick.
We're
my
getting a couple
theory,
drinks in right now.
my theory is that they were like, get the nurses with the boobs. All right, great. And then they got to Resident Evil 5, and they're like, look, it's a different time.
Excuse me?
Silent Hill 5.
Yeah, I was like, what?
They got to Silent Hill comb humming. They got to Silent Hill Homecoming. They're
Comb
like,
humming.
look, it's
Oh, God.
we've come forward as a group. We've come forward as humans.
Stop saying come forward.
We've been coming a lot.
Forward.
And a lot more people are coming to gay stuff.
What?
Yeah. Hold on, this is my theory.
Okay.
So the nurses weren't selling as high because there's a lot more openness in the communities, and there happens to be a lot more gay, and they're like, there's not a lot more gay. There's just a lot more openness about being gay.
Hold
So,
on.
hold on.
This is
No,
not
hold on.
Let me
making
get
it
this out.
I know, but I want you to have a strong finish. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
No, Chris is also coming from a place of love and understanding when whatever he's about to say.
Dude, I love gay people. They're the best. Anyway, so they're like, the boobs aren't selling as hot as they were, and they're like, what about, hold on, Pyramid Head? And they're
big
like,
old wieners.
okay, representation of sex and all that, and they're like, good, and they're like, but how do we make it sell? And they're like,
We have the
Six-pack.
technology.
take the apron down. They're like, what? So we'll have the nurses for the straight dudes or for the gay women, and then we'll also have Pyramid Head be a lot more sexualized for the men.
And Jesse and Nick.
Yes.
They got a hard on for Pyramid Head.
Pyramid Head has a heart on his head.
That was
Pyramid Head from 5.
Yeah.
Anyway,
jacked, love dudes.
he
Continue.
in 5 he is definitely more of the Reaper. Basically, he is the Angel of
executioner.
Death. Yeah, he's the executioner.
He's going to get him coming and going.
There's a scene where Alex is talking to his father, who's already tied up, and his father committed some heinous acts in the game, and Pyramid Head walks up and
Hold on. Heinous or anus?
But no, I'm just joking. It's heinous.
Pyramid Head walks up and slices his father in half, and you see all of it, and you have the two sides just hanging from the ropes that he was.
You gotta show
he
me
was-
that later.
Yeah, and
gnarly.
and he just walks away, even though Alex is just sitting there. He doesn't attack him. He doesn't do anything. Every time he sees Alex, he just looks at him and he leaves. He does nothing. It's only the people who have committed the atrocities against Silent Hill that he goes and he reaps, basically.
So, are your theories that are kind of fusing together at this point?
Yes.
So, are you saying you said that James is so evil, or Pyramid Head is so evil that he's sticking to Silent Hill?
He's
I'm
submitting
arguing
James.
that James, which is crazy to think about, because when you play the game, James is a pretty docile character for the most part. He's very kind of shy and reserved. And as you progress through the game, thinking about it critically and seeing all the monsters and things that are representative of who he is, he's honestly a bad person.
Yeah.
He's an incel.
Yeah, he's a bad person.
So James is such an evil person that Pyramid Head sticks around, because you're saying that Pyramid Head has a moral compass in 5.
well, and to say that,
or just doesn't give a shit about.
Yeah, apparently that guy's fucking nothing to him.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily a moral compass. It's still believed that Silent Hill still controls everything, and it's a greater. It's a greater entity, and it like Silent Hill itself is a character.
And
It's
Pyramid
an entity.
Head just following out.
He's
the-
a
well,
reaper
and
of
here's
souls,
the interesting thing
or
about
a good
that.
guy, like in Silent Hill, the second movie.
Oh God! Well, the thing that's funny is that in Silent Hill: Homecoming,
Homecoming.
Why did I laugh?
one of the endings to Silent Hill: Homecoming is that
You're just gonna.
Alex becomes a Pyramid Head.
Yep.
So to say that that's the first time that happened within the series, not likely.
I was just about to make that the connection when you said that earlier when you were like, is it possible that James became Pyramid Head? That is completely possible because I was going to use that ending from 5, connect those two games together, and say, hey,
That's another theory then.
So you're saying that James became a Pyramid Head?
the
himself?
original, I think.
the original, yeah.
So the Pyramid Head that he's fighting in the second game is him?
You think James fought
Yes,
himself as
in the
Pyramid
second
Head?
game, yes, that is essentially his representation of guilt. Yes,
But that's not him though.
not yet.
No, not yet.
So are you
his
saying in
repre-
5 that's James?
Yes.
Yes,
Ooh.
Yes.
I
That's an
agree.
interesting
I
theory.
100% agree with that.
He was like, I'm going to get Jack.
That's
I'm
how.
gonna fuck
So
mannequins.
and then the ending of 5 is that Alex becomes
One
one.
of the endings.
It's not a canonical ending.
Do you ever see more than one Pyramid Head at a time?
Yes,
Yes.
you
just,
do.
In the second one, at the very end of the game, you quote unquote fight 2 Pyramid Heads. Really, it's just running around a room, but he's invincible in the game. You can't kill him no matter what.
That's interesting because you guys have always talked about Pyramid Head as like a proper noun, like someone's like name, like it's one person, but Pyramid Head is
Almost like a-
just an enemy type.
Yeah,
Pyramid Head is actually a westernized term for him. He's actually known as just the Red Pyramid thing. And he says it in the game, in the American,
Yes, he
in
does.
the English dub. He said,
He
"Have-
talks.
No.
No,
James
James.
says Red Pyramid thing. He asks Eddie. He's like, "Did you see that Red Pyramid thing?" And that's actually what he's known as. He's not actually. He wasn't.
he ain't
called
called P-head in
Yeah.
Did Eddie see him?
No, Eddie did not see him.
So it's got to be. I mean, it's been known that there's a link between those two characters.
Yeah.
So
yes.
okay, so it could be like a title, like, or
could
like
be.
a transfer of
I think that
position.
yes, they are essentially the executioners
get a
of Silent
promotion.
Hill.
Just after 2, though.
You think Silent Hill chooses, or Silent Hill makes you that, or what do you think makes you a Pyramid
I
Head?
think you got to start off as like a sweaty bag, and then you just move up the ranks. You become.
And you get a tiny knife. You get a tiny pocket knife.
Oh, it's a gun game.
Say you become a double mannequin leg, and you got to get fucked by Pyramid Head for a while.
If you get to the 18th weapon, you're Pyramid Head.
Then for a while, you're this weird thing with a giant thing with a lady on its back that's wrapped up.
Dude,
That's a whole thing.
It's a crazy.
Oh yeah, I
Is
love
that-
that enemy. That's 5.
That's
That's
5.
Homecoming. Yep.
Homecoming is so good for not being
I
good.
like Homecoming.
I like Homecoming a lot too.
I like Homecoming because you can fight and you can win, and then later they're like, you shouldn't be able to because you didn't do any of that shit, and you're like,
But in his mind,
Whoa,
that's a whole other game.
But
That's another
I think
game
the canonical ending to that one is the one where you're still strapped in the fucking mental asylum.
No,
I was
like
gonna
you
say
never.
the alien theory.
Oh, the alien area.
If you guys like Silent Hill Homecoming, you really, really need to watch Spider-Man Homecoming.
Those two are very similar in no way, shape, or form.
Well, it's all an illusion.
That's Far From Home.
That's what I said.
Anyway,
Far From Homecoming.
Okay.
What's
Okay.
Homecoming? Which
So-
one's that one?
That's the first
I'll
one
talk about mine here real quick.
with Vulture.
I have one more point to mine.
Okay,
that I
yeah,
think,
yeah, go ahead.
One more reason that I think that the underwater endings, the canonical ending, is that in Silent Hill 4, you find out that your superintendent is James Sunderland's father, Frank Sunderland. And throughout the game, he's very somber. He's never a happy man by any means. And the character is given a photo from Frank that has Harry and Mary on it. Not Harry. I'm sorry, James and Mary.
What?
On it, and he tells Harry that James was lost in Silent Hill. He lost his son and daughter-in-law in Silent Hill.
Oh.
If the good ending actually happened, why would he come back with the child and never tell his father that, hey, I'm back with this kid now?
Wait, say that again?
In Silent Hill 4, which takes
Okay.
place 10 years after the events of Silent Hill 2.
Two Silent
Yes.
Hills later.
Yes.
his father
Yes.
gives the main character of the game a picture
Harry.
and tells him that I lost my son in Silent Hill.
If the good ending of Silent Hill 2 was that James and Laura escaped, why wouldn't he have gone back to see his father?
And tell him, I have this child now. You're now a grandfather. Like,
Found a baby.
Why would he just go off the face of the earth after leaving Silent Hill? It makes no sense.
So what? So who sent him the letter?
Mary, his dead wife.
She actually did send the letter.
That's
Well,
arguable.
Well, it's saying that
So
it
Mary's
was-
not in the game.
Mary is... A representation of her is seen in the end of the game if you get the bad ending.
Yes.
You see a sickly form of her that then transforms into the final boss. So again, it's an illusion. It's not really her. It's just trying to trick you, basically.
you see her no matter what.
Oh, is it
yeah,
really her?
yeah,
I thought it was Maria if it's the good ending.
Huh?
I thought it was Maria if it's the good ending.
No, he thinks it's Maria, but it's Mary the whole time and right before the final boss fight. Yeah.
So she's not actually in the game then.
She dead,
You
man.
see her in thoughts and in a videotape.
No, but I mean like in
Oh,
present
no,
as the game's
no.
out, she's not actually.
She is
there.
dead.
She is.
So
dead.
Silent Hill sent you the letter.
Well,
No. It's theorized that the hospital sent James a letter after she passed. She wrote it for James, like, when I die, give this to James.
Oh,
But
that's
wait a while.
fucked.
I think that doesn't even exist. I think that James essentially made up that
possible.
letter.
It's possible.
And throughout the game, the little girl says, what happened to that letter? And James says, it disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. So I don't think that letter and Laura, I don't think they exist at all, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's possible.
interesting.
So we talked a lot about Pyramid Head, and mine talks a little bit about it as well. But the Silent Hill is just riddled with the story of the cult behind Silent Hill and how it all started, called the Order. And one of the things that you notice about the cult is they use a lot of markings around Silent Hill that are very pagan-esque, or you could even describe it as like alchemic. Like, it looks very like, if you ever watch like Full Metal Alchemist and stuff like that, it's very alchemic circles and Ouroboros type stuff.
Bless you.
One of the ones is called the Seal of Metatron, and it's been in pretty much almost every iteration of the game.
Sounded like
That's
you
the-
said Megatron.
Yeah, that's the leader of the Decepticons.
Yeah,
You know him
you're
well.
right. But it shows itself as like save points. It shows itself as talismans, a whole bunch of different things, crests. Sometimes it's things that you actually obtain in the game. Sometimes you just see it, whatever it might be. But the seal is said to only be given the name Metatron because of the difficulty to control it. Because Metatron was one of the angels of God. And, of course, the version of heaven and God and everything in Silent Hill to the Order is not the same as what you would think biblically.
I
is
really
what
like their lore on
their
God.
interpretation. Yeah, it's very, very cool. But
Not going to give us a quick synopsis on what it is?
Do you
Or
care?
are you going to?
the god,
Yeah, is it gonna come to fruition through your...
basically the god, his name is Samael, which
That
is
sounds like the
basically a
devil.
demon.
Well, yes.
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 Yes, it's the devil.
You made me spill stuff.
God
stuff
is
on
the
beer.
devil.
God is
in
the
Silent
devil.
Hill?
Yes.
And also, really quick,
Everything will be
in
baptized by
universe, God was created by man.
Whoa.
They were eternally sad, and their sadness and hope to be happy created a being that then was both good and evil.
In Silent Hill?
Yes.
Because the Order lives in Silent Hill.
I'm
right?
sorry, no, just the lore of Silent Hill. Those people believe, not necessarily
What people?
The Order.
the Order.
Who's the Order?
They're a cult.
They're a cult that lives in Silent Hill.
Okay, so yeah. That's
They,
what
they don't believe
That's
that
what
the
I said.
people of Silent Hill made God, but they believe that humanity started, humanity was sad, they needed hope, and God was born of it.
Oh.
And
They started believing in a God, and so
Yes,
he was
and it
formed.
manifested.
yes,
So their
That
religion
is
is not God
terrifying.
created
Well,
them; they created
yes,
God.
exactly.
So let me
They
go.
needed God so badly that he became real.
exactly.
Let me go back a
Oh.
little bit. Let me go back just a little bit. I'm
Spicy.
sorry. Samael is not. Samael is a manifestation of the god of Silent Hill.
Yes.
But the god of Silent Hill is actually Silent Hill itself.
So Silent Hill has its own God,
Silent Hill is its own God.
Yes.
My
but not
brain
the God
hurts.
that was created by human.
No, it is.
Not Samael.
Yes.
They're one and
Samael.
the same.
Samael is the angelic interpretation of the, or is a,
Of the God
a
created
physical
by humans.
manifestation. Yes.
Of the God created by humans because
That
they
you
needed a
fight
God
in
so
the
badly.
first game. And depending on how your path goes, he either looks like a demonic, like red, like crazy, like demon creature, or it's an angelic, very bright like woman who
You have to
comes
fight
to
it no matter what?
Yes. Both are the same.
Both are the same manifestation.
Both are the same.
Yep.
Reminds me of a
So-
Lamb of God song.
Metatron,
Lamb of God?
Metatron and Samael are born from possibly the same manifestation of what Silent Hill considers to be the Red God, which is known as what is that? Zuchilbara.
Bless you.
Yeah, right. Zuchilbara.
Zatch Bell.
There are two
Ulbara?
other manifestations in Silent Hill that was originally theorized to be part of other portions of it, but ended up being canonical. Pyramid Head and Voltiel. Voltiel you only ever see in 3 in the game. Voltiel is never something that you come across that you have to fight or that you interact with, but it is instead in the background, moving gears and things like that, like what you would see if you were trying to open up like a pipe valve or something like that.
Or Pyramid Head in Silent Hill 2 when he runs the merry-go-round.
Yes.
You're talking about the
hate
movie
you.
again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Also, stop getting upset about it. It's real. I mean, it's canonical. We saw it in the movies.
It's not
it
real.
happened.
It never happened.
I actually...
It's comical. I don't know if it's
I
canonical.
just want to know that I actually legitimately really like that movie.
Okay.
I
I
think it
want you to
looks
know
awesome.
that
We're
I
not
don't,
friends.
but I like how this is
friends.
affecting you, so I'm going to continue to
Yeah.
act like I like that movie. More of like a Wizard of Oz guy, like the guy behind, like the guy who...
Yes, actually, yes.
Pay,
Yes.
Pay no attention to
I had a
the
good
guy
idea.
behind the
Yes,
curtain.
Voltiel.
Oh,
That's
COVID.
exactly what Voltiel is. So, that he's actually controlling the events that are happening in Silent Hill 3. And that he's kind of like also the god of death, because in certain instances when Heather dies, you see Voltiel dragging Heather away, dragging her body away.
These games sound so cool, and I'm too much of a pussy to
Dude,
play them.
I love them.
Dude,
There's
come on.
so much lore and backstory that you could go into. It's amazing.
You're a goddamn adult. Get in here.
And they look like old now. You could maybe...
It's not
play
that
them.
scary.
Guys, creepypasta creeps me out.
Okay, sorry.
So, saying that, Zuchilbara has
Bless
a
you.
counterpart. And the counterpart is theorized, which I would like to think too, as Alessa and Heather, the Yellow God.
Are we still talking about games?
yes.
Okay.
No, this has now become...
Explain.
So the reason
Explain.
I say this is because if Pyramid Head and Voltiel are and actually the one of the developers talk about Pyramid Head and Voltiel and how they're similar. He said if you took Pyramid Head's helmet off, he would have the same head and face as Voltiel. There and in the original soundtrack of Silent Hill Origins, or Silent Hill 0 is what it's known as everywhere else, there's a short comic strip about a battle between two hellish angelic creatures that take place, and it is Voltiel, who is flying with a trumpet, and Pyramid Head, and Pyramid Head actually kills Voltiel. And so they're known to be one and the same thing because it's
Pyramid Head.
Yes, a Pyramid Head, but it is Pyramid Head.
The
They're just
OG
saying it is
Pyramid
So
Pyramid
okay,
Head.
so,
So Pyramid Head becomes one of the Red Gods because of what happens in Silent Hill 2.
okay.
It's very confusing, I get it, but
So I don't
Keep raising
know.
your hand. Just
Yeah.
go ahead and talk.
No,
It's
no,
fine.
no. I take turns. So, Jesse, you guys know my memory is horrible. Why is it in my brain right now that there's like it's not canon that the Pyramid Head in 5 has like the muscly stuff under his helmet, right?
So, yes.
Was anyone with me, or did I
I
see a
was.
video?
No,
of my
no,
own?
no, I remember
Okay.
that. In his character model in Silent Hill 5, yes.
That was just an right?
He has like
They
this
shouldn't have
weird-
done that.
Well, they're basically saying that Pyramid Head you're seeing isn't the same one that's from Silent Hill 2.
Okay.
So that could still be James, because, like I said, that first Pyramid Head that you see is just a representation of his guilt. But if he becomes Pyramid Head, then he is possibly going to look different than
Well, and that's even, I mean,
the previous one.
and that can be interpreted as the fact that, like, you saying if the helmet comes off, that it was who?
it would look like Voltiel.
It would look like Voltiel, and that could be that, what they're saying is like that one's James, and so like that
It's
helmet's
messed
not.
up.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
helmet is not coming off.
Right.
It's fused with him now.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but yeah, that's when it. That's.
That's
but,
good.
I'm
That's
here.
a good theory.
I'm here.
yes, yeah, but that leads into the final fight of Silent Hill 2,
Okay.
or not the final fight, but one of the fights in Silent Hill 2 when you are running away from two Pyramid Heads. The
In 2?
That's just terrifying.
Yes.
You don't remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
The big
was
symbol,
fur. It was
the
fur.
big symbol in the middle of the room that you're running on, is the seal of Metatron. And the seal of Metatron is also known in the game to harvest dead souls. And it's also thought that since James was dead and his soul was there, what happened with Pyramid Head and James when the Pyramid Heads killed themselves on the seal of Metatron and James was there, that's what manifested, became the Red God, and James was then now Pyramid Head, who existed in Silent Hill.
So
They impaled themselves on spears, right?
They do.
On their own spears.
On their own, like in their neck, basically,
Yes.
through their helmet.
Yep.
So,
Sick.
at what point does it happen when Kid Rock becomes the Bull God?
I'm glad I don't understand what you're talking about.
Chris does, and it's the greatest thing ever.
Better when you were making fun of the Silent Hill movies, saying that you liked it. Were you joking? You were joking.
No, he likes that movie.
Oh, you do.
The look on Chris's face of realization.
no.
No, I legit like both of those movies.
This
Oh,
is the
okay.
first high school I've ever been to. Oh, God. Anyway.
So, basically, those theories that I talked about exist, and the reason I talk about theories that already exist is because they coincide with the theories that I have already had and I have shared with Jesse about all of that, and it kind of locks some of those into place, and it makes a lot of sense because if you read some of the things, especially in 3, there's a lot more of the order and the lore when you meet Vincent and things like that. It opens up a little bit more of the lore of the cult, and you tend to really find out like what the seals mean and how things came about and what the gods' names are and everything.
What was the one guy you said?
Xehanort.
No. We don't have time for that. No, you said that he was one of the gods. If he took the helmet off... If
Pyramid
took his
Head
helmet
and
off...
his
Valtiel.
counterpart.
Zujabara?
Valtiel.
No,
Valtiel.
Valtiel.
Oh, Valtiel,
So,
Valtiel.
are you saying that Valtiel could have been one of the Pyramid Heads at the end of 2?
It's possible. That's a theory too I read actually, but I don't know.
I'm seeing the numbers here.
I don't think you are, because my brain fucking hurts.
So okay, hold on. So what are you saying? So what's driving home that the Metatron
The seal of Metatron?
You just
is
wanna
on the
call him
floor?
Megatron so bad. You actually
Between
seal
the-
the seal.
Right. So what is that reinforcing? What theory are you reinforcing with that then? Sorry.
That
Just
that Pyramid Head is the reason
God?
why he is through that and why he becomes basically a quote unquote god of Silent
Yes.
Hill, because it's entrapped in because the seal is known
Makes
to
him a god?
Yeah, it entraps James as Pyramid Head because his soul is there. So it entraps that and then creates
So
him as
the
a new
James
Red God.
Pyramid Head is Red God.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That's scary.
Yes.
Wow.
That's some
This whole
dark
time,
shit.
all I could think about was a seal with a beach
So
ball.
then in 5, if that is James, that he is a god at that point, walking around doing.
And he's
some
like, I'm not
evil
wearing
shit.
the-
Possibly. Yeah.
I'm jacked.
Does that make that scarier for you guys?
Kind
like
of.
knowing that, like if you subscribe to that theory.
It kind of makes sense actually now to think about it. Pyramid Head in the second game wasn't that big. James was actually a little taller than Pyramid Head. And
Yes.
yeah, he wasn't that big. In Silent Hill 5, Pyramid Head is tall.
He's stronger. He's
he's stronger. And James is a big guy. He's like the biggest like antagonist that or protagonist, I'm sorry.
Kind of antagonist.
Are you wrong?
Kind of an antagonist.
But are you wrong?
That Silent Hill's ever had. So it makes sense that he's bigger, he's beefier, he's ready to mingle and all that kind of stuff.
and that's what,
And that's just a
you know,
game theory.
he's banked some sleuths and he's ready to settle down.
Yeah.
But that's what's kind of beautiful about this. I think about your guys' theories is that they fit like puzzle pieces together,
kinda coalesce.
and then even just with us listening, we're kind of able to like hear how that makes sense and add in a little bit from the little information I know about Silent Hill, and you have quite a bit more.
That's partially because Jesse and I are obsessed with that game series.
Yes.
99.9% of what I know about Silent Hill is from you two.
But, as we all know, in the second movie, Pyramid Head is a good guy, so I just want to put that in there.
Bro, we didn't talk. We already had an episode about video game movies, okay?
Wait, but from what I know now, that's different Pyramid Head.
That could be a different Pyramid Head.
That's Sean Bean.
That's a Sean Bean.
Oh,
P.
shit.
Head.
You think it's Sean Bean?
Well, actually,
He survives that.
Yeah, Sean Bean's
of
in
all movies,
Does he?
Sean Bean survives
Does
that
he?
one.
yeah, he goes
Where's
back
he in the second one?
at the end.
Oh,
he
fuck,
there?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I was about to say
Yeah,
he
he goes,
survives
I'm
the
going
end.
back to find my children or my
Does
wife.
he
and
go
then-
like this and take off a giant pyramid? He's
No.
like, yo!
Yeah, at the end of the movie, he goes back to try to find Rose.
okay.
Rose is Pyramid Head.
Yeah. And that's why
Sybil. No,
he
I'm
protects.
just joking.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
we could probably have a podcast on each Silent Hill iteration and make it 2 hours long.
But we don't have to play it again. Not that that's a bad thing.
Sure. I mean, Justin and I wouldn't, but...
I think you should. Maybe you'd glean some new information.
Listen, man, October's going to be a thing, and you bet your ass that we're going to make Dakota play Silent Hill, and we're going to record some stuff with that.
Ooh.
I guess it's now where I should announce my departure in September from the Digital Bath podcast.
September 30th will be my last day.
My re-entry on November 1st.
We remember
That bitch Dakota.
Wouldn't play no scary game.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm not kidding when I say we could have an episode each of each Silent Hill game that would last 2 hours. It would be
Very
a lot.
true.
Yeah. But hey, guys, appreciate you listening. Those are our game theories on probably our favorite game series. Dakota, Kris, we appreciate the questions. I think that made it a lot more interesting.
Just to clear it up,
Mm-hmm.
Silent Hill, Pyramid Head is a good guy, right? We're all...
depends who you are.
I mean, from the end of Silent Hill
Okay,
to the
we
movie.
appreciate you guys joining
Probably
us.
not.
We appreciate you guys joining us with Chris's last episode on the Digital Bath podcast.
It's been my last
miss you.
episode every time.
We'll miss you. Have a great life, and I hope you die. So we love you guys.
See
You know who wouldn't kill me? Pyramid Head, because
We really appreciate you guys listening to us, no matter who it is. Every like and listen and subscription on our YouTube channel now is much appreciated. Give it a like, give it a listen. Digital Bath Podcast signing out.
Silent Hills isn't happening. I hate you, Dakota.